All right, I think you guys can hear me now. I'm hoping so. We'll go back to me for a minute. Still, I think this is working. Oh, good. I can hear it on my phone now. So, alrighty, everyone, let's go over our weather for tomorrow. Today is fine. You don't have to worry really about today at all. We are going to have beautiful blue skies. It's going to be in the low 80s. It's a perfect day. Get out there for whatever you have going on. Assumption Church has their Greek festival. That's always a good time of year. I filled up from there yesterday. But tomorrow will be questionable. So I have two scenarios here. The computer models, which I'll show you here in a minute, are just kind of think of them as super calculators. They're going to take in a bunch of factors. Seasonally, what it's like, how fast the storms they expect them to move, what our current conditions are like outside, warm, whether we have a lot of moisture, a lot of humidity. It's going to take all those factor-ins and sort of spit out a forecast model. I have two that I'm going to show you here. This is my pick for tomorrow. This is the scenario I feel like we'll have the greater potential of seeing. I do have one more model that's a bit more dramatic, but this way we can look at the radar together tomorrow morning and see exactly how this is playing out and see whether scenario 1 or scenario 2 is the more likely option. Of course, you could always have something a little bit different, but I really think scenario 1 might be the ticket here. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and go through this together. So it starts off really at 2 a.m. You can see that line of storms. This is scenario 1 here. Just about 4:18 in the morning for us on Sunday. This continues to track through with some very heavy rainfall. You see a little bit of a break here at 7 a.m. Second round is starting to arrive. Very heavy into Rolla. Yes, we have the potential tomorrow for golf ball sized hail. That would be isolated. I wouldn't expect a widespread event quite like what happened in O'Fallon a few months ago. And then we also have the potential for strong winds. This time, typically it's about 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts is what we're worried about. Tomorrow, it's really 70. We up that wind potential tomorrow. Also the potential for a few isolated tornadoes. You really can't rule out a few isolated tornadoes anytime we have this type of system. So I'll go through both these scenarios and then I'll check in the chat after this to see if you all have any questions. So here's about 8:30 and then 8:20. So really, I'm going to back this up really quickly so you can kind of see what I'm thinking here. So 4 a.m. all the way through till about 11, there will be the potential for flash flooding, just like what we've had the past few weeks and yesterday up in Litchfield. Flash flooding with these stronger storms that will come through, a lot of moisture within them. They're going to hold a lot of rainfall. A break in the day. Always nice to see a little sunshine. Not the case tomorrow. You can see over St. Louis and into the Farmington area, a bit of that clearing. Then that will help that sunshine. It'll add heat to the day. What it's going to do is charge up the atmosphere. So this is what scenario 1 thinks is going to happen with our second round of rainfall. It brings it in a little late, which is actually some good news, but it'll still be quite strong. Here's 9, 10 o'clock at night. Very strong, especially in an area there north of Interstate 70 in Illinois that already was super soaked yesterday in the Litchfield area, for example, with close to 5 to 6 inches of rainfall in just a short period of time. This continues to track through very heavy rainfall, so there's that flash flooding potential in the evening. And then we do start to dry off a little bit as we head into early Monday morning. All right, scenario 2 time, and then I'll take a look at some of your questions in the chat. So here's scenario 2, which I think is far more dramatic and sort of like a worst case scenario type of situation for tomorrow. It shows a much more defined front come through in the morning. Look at the difference here at 6 a.m. Some areas of spot storms there for Rolla. So widespread rainfall, but those spot storms, and you see those bullseyes there, that would indicate some larger hail as well as the potential for an isolated tornado or two within this system. Could be a very busy morning tomorrow if this is how things play out. 7 a.m. You can see this here into St. Louis and then down into Farmington. This continues to press on. Instead of having that little break the way the last scenario did between roughly 7 and 8, this one keeps it going consistent with that rainfall. I do like that a little bit more. I think we'd trend more in that just kind of lighter rain in between. Shows very strong storms over on the Illinois side by about 9 a.m. This will be early in the morning. At last check, the weather radios were still not working. The National Weather Service is working on a fix for that right now with those companies that handle that. So something to be aware of. Your weather radio may not be working. Hopefully they get that back up and fixed, but we'll just have to see. Do check in with us tomorrow morning. I plan to be here bright and early, so you can check in on ksdk.com with me on how these storms are progressing. 11 a.m. into lunchtime, still quite strong over into Illinois. Here's that break in the day. We still have that clearing out there. Then as we push forward, we're going to bring that rainfall in. This looks earlier timing than the other one. Look at what's happening here. After sunset time, we still will be quite warm. You know, our sunset is late these days. Still quite warm at 9 o'clock versus the other model that had it coming in around 9 or 10. This one shows some very strong storms moving through Illinois and our southern counties down into Farmington at 9 p.m. tomorrow. Then that starts to move off and away, and we're settling into some drier weather. All right, I am opening up my phone right now. I'm going to check on Facebook and see what sort of questions you all may have, and I'll try to answer a few of those. I do think our greatest risk tomorrow would be flash flooding. If you have something going on in the middle of the day, you'll probably be fine to do it. Just keep in mind the morning, any time up until 10 a.m., and then I would say roughly any time after 6 or 7. It does look like it's coming in a little later. I would check in closer to 5 o'clock with us here. Let's see. There we go. Oh, Megan is asking a good question here. She's asking if we will have a moderate risk. We don't just have a moderate risk tomorrow, we have an enhanced risk. So that is a pretty good indicator that something will happen. Let me see if I can find that little graphic in here for you just to show you what our risk category is for tomorrow. Thank you, Megan. Felicia's asking if I think Festus is going to be hit hard. I think tomorrow we really have the potential for everywhere to get hit hard by this one, and I don't mean that lightly. Bowling Green might be the one exception there. My county is up towards Pike, Lincoln, and the edge of Montgomery. I think this time this storm doesn't really favor the potential for you as much, but here's our risk. Ignore these numbers. These are not up to date. I did not use this graphic this morning. But you can see we have an enhanced risk. That's in the orange. Our gust potential is typically up to 60. Tomorrow, I really think it'll be close to 70 miles per hour tomorrow. So ignore the banner. This is for tomorrow. I'll change that actually right now for our forecast. So an enhanced risk, which we've been in a few times already this season so far. So this will be our severe weather potential for Sunday. Some good news here, though, is that when you look at the 10-day forecast, it is looking pretty good. We are looking much better. All right, let's see. Debbie Schultz is writing in. Her 11-year-old nephew, he's fighting cancer. Ah, Debbie, I wish him the best of luck with that. And he is raising money for charity. And do you think he'll be able to set up around 10 a.m.? Debbie, for the sake of setting up, I would just start that at 11, so that way you should be in the clear. So 11 a.m. For your nephew, the lemonade stand. So it doesn't matter where you are. I think 11 a.m. you'll have better potential than that 10 a.m. time. Let's see. Denise, the scouts will be putting flags at veterans' grave sites tomorrow. Now, Denise, I do think that in past years, at least if I remember correctly, I might be getting Veterans Day a little bit confused with this one, or perhaps even Christmas with the wreaths. I've always thought that event for the flags for the veterans' grave sites was always a little bit early. That could be an issue tomorrow, so if you could start later, the better. All right. So I think there's always some questions that pop up after just because my stream is not quite exact, but I'll go through these just one more time so you can see them here. We'll play it out slowly. This is scenario 1, and then I'll go over scenario 2 again. Jordan Timmerman asking about rainfall totals. Always hard to say, Jordan. I do think tomorrow has the potential for, 4 inches in some areas, even the potential of 6 to 8 in a few other areas. This so far is looking much more charged up with a lot more moisture than we had yesterday. Remember, those rainfall totals, though, can be very isolated. Some areas can get really hit with that heavy rainfall with those storms directly over them. We're going to have a couple of waves, so 24-hour totals, I do think tomorrow has a potential of 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. All right, here we go. So we're playing this out through Sunday morning. Those stronger storms there, this is scenario 1. Here's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., then that starts to make its exit around 11. So for the scouts who are doing their flags tomorrow for Veterans Day, thank you. That's always really nice to see. Lovely memorial for them. And then we have a lemonade stand that's trying to happen tomorrow. This is what we will go through. Oh, and then Peyton is asking about Smithton, Illinois. So a little bit further further to the east over there. I was actually just at Smithton Elementary School not too long ago doing a school visit. So I'd say tomorrow morning for Smithton around roughly 10 a.m. So that's going to apply for everybody in the Metro East. Really, we'll start up earlier on, but not quite as early. So Missouri side, maybe 6 a.m. Illinois side, closer to 8 a.m. Then that continues to drag through. Should be out of the metro area by 10, but for my areas in Illinois, including Smithton, it'll be a little bit later. Then a break in the day. This is the time of the day. So lunchtime tomorrow, early afternoon, yell at the sun. If you see the sun come out, tell it to go away. We don't want that tomorrow. It's just going to add more fuel, and that really could fire up some storms in the evening. I do like this potential. It keeps us drier, and also notice, look at about 6 p.m. It brings in more of that cloud cover. That would really help us out. That would stabilize us a little bit. Then we're going to have that line of storms around 10 o'clock at night. That continues to press through. So we have two opportunities for some very heavy rainfall. I do think flash flooding will be our biggest problem tomorrow. We do have the potential, though, for a few weak tornadoes, 0s and 1s, as well as wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, and the potential for golf ball-sized hail. For example, though, last 2 weeks ago, roughly, I think, I was covering golf ball-sized hail in Jefferson County, and it was very isolated. I was probably about 2 blocks from one of the areas with the larger baseball to softball size hail, and my area was in that golf ball size hail. It was very isolated. It was much smaller, and it did not last very long. Luckily, we were in the weather tracker, and we were underneath an awning at a gas station with a bunch of other people who had also stopped to avoid that hail. Here's scenario 2. This is the worst case scenario. Peyton is asking if it'll be cleared out at 2. I do think it'll be cleared out at 2, Peyton, for you. So that is helpful, I hope. And then we'll have a few hours of dry time in the middle of the day. I know a lot of festivals going on for Memorial Day as well, so we're hoping for that dry time. Here's 5 a.m. with that heavier rainfall further down to the south. This scenario also really targets our southern counties a little bit more, including Jefferson and St. Genevieve. 7 a.m., this could be a bit dicey. Right as we're tracking this through, with some areas of tornadoes potentially in there, especially with those stronger and large hail. Once again, though, this area really hit hard by flash flooding a few days ago, a few weeks ago in Olympic Village and into Deloge as well. So just something to watch for there. And then here's 9 a.m. This looks quite active over in Illinois. You kind of see that as it sort of fires up as it makes its way across. We'll have to see. This is the worst case scenario. You saw the other one played out much better. If you want to go back and look at these videos too, I also have on the weather forecast page, we're uploading a video where I go through this in detail as well. I'm pointing it out on the board, so you can always go back and check for that. Rachel's got a good question. She's asking about the Cardinals game tomorrow at 6 o'clock. I'd actually bet that the Cardinals could potentially get that game in. A 6-10 game, if they play fast, or maybe they might have to stop the game towards the end if this rain comes in according to scenario 2. Scenario 1 had that rain, coming in, the second round of rain coming closer to 9 or 10, in which case the Cardinals will play that game no problem. But this model has it coming in closer to 7 or 8. Now the Cardinals are usually pretty good about fitting games in. This tomorrow does have quite the severe potential with it, so we'll have to see what they end up doing with it. Here's 9 p.m. This is some very strong storm activity here with some very strong winds. This continues to press on, and then we have some drier weather after that as it treks through. Alrighty, everyone. Well, that just about covers our weather. I will go back in just a few minutes and I'll check on our chat here on Facebook, and if there are any questions that I didn't quite get to here because it is a little bit delayed, I'll notice that the minute I sign off there's a bunch more questions. I'll go in there and I'll try to answer a few of those for you. Gary Frank will be in later on tonight. He's going to have another update for you as well. I'm planning to get in pretty early tomorrow morning so I can track these storms in. Once again, I'm actually going to check really quick here to see if there's an update on the weather radio situation. I'll just do a quick little scan here. And yes, so I do not think that the radios are working. So if you have a weather radio and that's really how you depend on your system, yeah, it is not working. So they are working to get that circuit back up. So don't depend on your weather radios overnight tonight. I would start checking in with us here at Channel 5, checking on your radar app right around 4 a.m. for those in Missouri and closer to 5 to 6 a.m. in Illinois. Right now it does look like these storms are going to move through pretty quickly. Hopefully that weather radio situation can be resolved by the end of the day because tomorrow does look quite dicey. So if you're one of those people that depend on a weather radio, which is good, we always recommend that, remember, right now it's down, so check in with us and then check in on the radar app. We'll have that live streaming for you tonight as well. Alrighty, everyone, I hope you enjoy your Saturday. It looks marvelous out there. I'll bring that view up. Beautiful blue sky. There's nothing really much to note on today. It's pretty run-of-the-mill here. We're going to make it up into the low 80s. So really nice today, warmer and dicier tomorrow. Alrighty, everyone, we'll check in with us later on today and we'll have an update on those storms. And I'll probably see you all tomorrow morning as we track these through on Today in St. Louis.